see if it would be something that that would benefit our school district. Thank you.
Just really quickly, I agree if we could have a clause on maybe special circumstances to come to a vote in a consensus. Ms. Quiñones.
I think it's important to separate the two. One is a need and one is a want. The need to be trained to be better board members is a must. So I think the cap for that, definitely 7,000 is something that is doable. The need to travel, to me, I always think about what value am I adding by traveling and putting that expense on the district. So I would like to see maybe us rethinking our travel. I think that what is necessary, for example, would be the CSBA training. That is necessary, but it's necessary for us to go to the other trips. And to me, it is not necessary. I know that I did a PRA before I was a board member, and there was one board member that spent close to $20,000. And I'm still waiting for the complete expenses because transportation and food was not part of that equation. So I think we have to really be considerate at this particular time because we're telling everybody to cut down on expenses. And if we don't cut on expenses, what message are we giving our community and the staff? So what I propose is that we put a cap of $3,500 for travel expenses. And if we go above that, I don't mind paying for my own because to me, it's about saving money for the district.
Mr. Kwok?
Thank you, Madam President. So, first of all, this is actually a very limiting budget. The second thing I would say is that if you take a look here in the narrative, there are 13 school districts that have no budget, no limit with respect to this. The other thing that I would say is that I'd like to know why is it that it was amended from the past? Because in the past, it basically said if you didn't use it, you can actually give it to another school board member, right? So it's just confining. And I think that this is a disservice to our school district because if in fact somebody decides they want to go, I don't really see it as a vacation. I see it as they want to learn something that could help our kids. And the budget by itself is self-executing because it's very limited here. You're not going to be able to get into, you say 20,000, this is half. I believe it will be half of that. And again, it's been modified so that it can even be used for somebody else, which I don't agree with. I think that the last one was a better rendition of it. So the whole point about it to be self-serving or something like that, I find that to be completely unbelievable that somebody would actually go to one of these places as a vacation spot, right? But at any rate, whatever concerns you have already been incorporated in this because it's very limited, right? I don't think anybody can go maybe to more than one of these things if it was out of state, right? So I like the other one better than this. I certainly don't agree with any other modification that it's less than this. It's essentially like one conference regarding this. Thank you very much. I yield back to you, Madam President.
Thank you. And I want to applaud our team for even having this discussion because we are talking about making difficult savings in different areas. And I think it's very humble of our board to explore also, reducing our trips to contribute to those savings. I think that's a great measure. Now, when we're considering the amount, it's we have 5 people, not everybody's going to agree on that. But it was a lower amount that was proposed and we brought it up so that way it could be at least 2 trips per year that we're funding for a board member, which is completely fair. And in terms of CSBA, for the record, I went to CSBA. I don't think I need to go every year. Okay. And for me, I'm glad that we have these clear parameters, because there's a lot of trainings that I want to go to that I have not been offered, and now I'm going to be able to take initiative and go to trainings I actually want to go to. And it is absolutely valid concerns. We've had people come, the community express concerns about board members sharing their trips and windows and out, just pictures that had nothing to do with, this is what I learned, this is what I'm bringing back. Okay, it looked like they were it was a personal trip. So I think that's the underlying concern, and how some people can abuse these opportunities and say we're learning, but never offer anything of what they're learning. So I think this is totally fair and reasonable, with the root being, if we're going to ask to make savings in other areas, then we should also be contributing to that.
A quick comment. So my last comment on this is that this essentially is one conference, because if you go to CSBA, I presume it's going to be taken out of this, right? So at the end, you have one other conference. I think it's very confining with respect to that. And again, I point out that 13 other districts don't have, a limit. Now, of course, I never would say that somebody should go everywhere, right? And then you got into the 20s, and of course, there's a limit to this, right? I know that I don't really travel, right, at all. In fact, I think Mr. Del Torre realizes the only other place I go I always go to CSBA every year because things change, right? But there are certain things I do care about now, which is what college. I do care about that, right? So at any rate, I believe in the goodwill and the good conscience of every board member. It's not going to be abused. I think this is de minimis. I just think the other one was better because it gave us some more flexibility. And the budget is the budget, right? This is what they believe. It's been budgeted for this. And again, we're talking about a small amount of money, considering the time and effort that we're going to be there for hours, right? Thank you very much. I've been heard on this. I yield back to you, Madam President.
Ms. Quinones?
This question is for Dr. Jimenez. I know that for new board members, we take a lot of training courses and they get expensive. I know I've taken 2 already, and I do plan to go to the CSBA. Do you think raising the budget to include trainings, such as the CBA trainings, 7,000, is that doable, or do we need to raise that?
Thank you, Ms. Quinones, for the question. So we did amend this one to actually include $3,500 for training. So the total amount for this whole item is $10,500 per board member. But what we really delineated was the fact that, let's say you have training that doesn't involve, let's say, travel. I mean, you could have that either come out of the training amount, or it could come out of the other amount if it's, let's say, like a workshop that you're not going to travel at all, or an award ceremony. That's a perfect example where you don't necessarily require flights or anything like that, but you're going to attend an award ceremony where there's going to be no training, and then that would be specifically coming out of just the travel budget.
The 3,500.
Yeah, it'll come out of 3,500 for that.
Right. No, I guess my question was, especially for new board members, where we have to do the masters in governance, 1 through 5. If you add that amount and also the CSBA conference, how much would that be?
Well, each master's in governance course is about $850 each course.
Mhm.
So you take that, multiply by 5, you get your amount. So yeah, that'll be tight if you do it all in 1 year, as well as CSBA, because if CSBA for this upcoming year in December is going to be in Northern California. So now you're going to have travel costs of flights and airport transfers that you didn't have when it was local, right?
So-
Or even in San Diego for that.
So do you think we should raise the amount when it comes to the training for CSBA training?
Or
I-
really quickly, I would like to step in here. It sounds like there's a unique point in a board member's life here that there is an additional expenses for training, which is the onboarding part. And so maybe we can make an exception to say this does not include the mandatory MIG training. So that would automatically be covered for board members. I think we can make that amendment.
If I may, I think that, so I think your point is a valid one, right? I think it would be better if, for example, the CSBA was exempted. Because when you go to San Francisco, one of the reasons why when I was in CSBA's board, I didn't like San Francisco is that the hotel is super expensive.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if you don't go to CSBA, however, I think there should be a dollar equivalent to that, right? which allow you to go other training. Why would any board member begrudge another board member to receive training? I'm happy that you would receive training, right? So to me, the CSBA, wherever it is, should be exempted. And if somebody decides not to go to CSBA, at least they have that budget item and they're not prejudiced for that. And then if they want to go to other training, I'm good with that. I think that makes our board better. Why wouldn't I want to make our board better? Thank you very much. I yield back.
Yes, thank you. If I may, I would recommend that you just combine the two. You know, combine the 7,000 and the 3,500, and that way in years where, let's say, board members take MIG, it's still coming out of the same pot. It's still local control funding formula, it's still LCFF. Even if it's parsed out this way, it's still the same budget.
But I mean, do you see my concern though?
Well,
Yes, you're going to
actually-
generate a lot more.
Well,
in
But
your-
actually here within, when we considered the two trips, one of them was considering CSBA. So whether it's the new training or yearly CSBA, it was kind of incorporated.
Well, I think for me, the mandatory training, the Masters in Governance, Series 1 through 5, it's like a must. You got to take it. It's not like you can select it. So I think for, new board members, for future new board members, I think there should be an exception for the training. But as far as the other trainings, I think it can be 7 and 3 would be something that I think is doable. But if you combine the amount of a total of 10,000 between the two, I don't know. I guess for me is how do we prevent any type of abuse, something that is not training? To me, training is very important. I think that, and I'll be honest, I think that if you're not adding value to a trip and creating an expense for the district, I'm not okay with that. I think that some of the award ceremonies, I do think that the site administrator should go because it was their hard work that got them there. I do think that some of the teachers should go. But I, as a board member, did not contribute to the site the reason they got an award. There's no reason for me to be there. I'm just being honest about that. And therefore, I'm thinking, what value am I adding to that if I didn't contribute to the outcome of that school? So I would rather see a teacher go in my place or somebody from classified going in my place because it was their hard work that got them that award. It was not me. So why would I want to be there? I'm not adding any value to that. That's, but again, I'm being honest.
Thank you for your honesty in saying that in a respectful way, Ms. Loera.
Yes, Dr. Jimenez, for some of the awards that some of our schools get, specifically the middle school one that will happen not too long ago, can you explain a little bit more about some of these awards, conference, because they're not just an award, they are award conferences. Can you explain what that is?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Loera, for the question. So awards such as the Schools to Watch and National School Forum in Washington, D.C., those are actual conferences where there are actual presentations that are being done by the schools that have won the award. And that's something that is different compared to, let's say, the California Department of Education annual award ceremony, which they hold at the Disneyland Hotel. That's not a training at all. It's just an award ceremony all day long, beginning around 4:30. And so that's a different scenario. The awards for, let's say, National Blue Ribbon, that was also a conference. And I don't think we had any board members on that particular one. I mean, I know I went and the principals, but any type of awards like that, my office, we always budget in the superintendent's budget to pay anytime it's a new award, to pay for the principal and then one staff member. Anything above that, the site then pays for that if they're going to have more staff members go from the school site. But we budget in my office for that specific award ceremony. But yes, there are differences with respect to when it's just a recognition award. I'll give you a perfect example. Mr. Joaquin Martinez, right? He's being honored this Friday in San Diego at the continuation school or at the continuation education conference. And that's part of a whole, conference, but there's an award ceremony on Friday and then there's a award ceremony on Saturday, right? So a board member choosing to go only to the ceremony would only just be going to the ceremony. But there are times when board members, let's say if it's in Northern California and a board member wanted to go to support the school, because that's part of the role as well, supporting the schools. They do value the board actually being there. That's one thing the staff will tell you, thank you for coming. It means a lot. Your support shows. And so that's a little different when it's up in Northern California, because then there's travel. But most of them, I would say the majority of all of these type of award ceremonies, it involves some kind of conference that's embedded with it. CSTEM, another perfect example. That's, we've had schools win awards for that, and administrators and teachers win awards for that, and they alternate that one. They have a conference up at UC Davis, but that's the annual conference. That's usually where they have the awards. They have a fall conference, but it's not where they give the awards. So it's a little different for that one. But most of them, I would say a great majority of them are tied to some type of conference where there's learning involved. Thank you.
And continue what you said about the conferences that they offer, the training, because I do see the conferences as training also, to learn exactly what our teachers are doing, our staff is doing, how to best support them. I know one of our big initiatives is writing, so I did learn something where I was lucky enough to be able to go to the Monterey one. There was several of them that talked a lot about the writing. I know in elementary there we do race, and we saw for the middle school how it should be SIRS, not so much race, because it's higher level for middle school. I did not know that, and I know there was conversations from the teachers there of how we can bring this back to the middle school. So I was happy to be part of that conversation. I go, do we need training for the middle school teachers? And they said, no, I think we can do this ourselves. We usually, maybe it's a little bit learning. So it's good to be part of those conversations there, to see the trainings that they're going, best practices for the conferences that you go. And I know when I go with Dr. Jimenez, we're looking at the list of conference, which sessions to go to, which one do we feel is more important. And so there's conversations that come from that when I'm lucky enough to go with, when I'm lucky to go, because then I could have those conversations with Dr. Jimenez about what we just saw. How can we implement this in our district? Is this something that can work for our district? So it's, like you said, it's part of our duty also as school board members to learn. And it's not just at these few, it's also other things that we can learn. There's one that have to do with technology, that conferences are for technologies. I know I don't go to those, but I've gone as teachers. There's a lot of conferences that are for teachers, but there's also board members should be going to those conferences too, because they can see what's out there, get ideas of what you can bring back to the district to make our district even better. Yeah. Thank you.
Mr. Kwok.
Oh, thank you. So I just wanted to say this very clearly, all right? With respect, I can think of a million places I'd rather go for vacation than one of these things, all right? The other thing is that there's a lot of things that you can actually accomplish at an award, for example, right? One is the kids and parents love it, right? The other thing is that understand something, CSBA's annual AAC is based upon this, because you got all these trainings, then you have the golden bells, right? The other thing is that I've learned more from being at something like this by actually meeting up with somebody and talking to them about this. I would never have met with them otherwise, that they were at these conferences. At the end, I'm just not cynical like that. I just believe that somebody's going to do this and it's being done for the right reasons. The last thing I'll make, because I know time is short, is that MIG training is not confined to new board members. Anybody can benefit from MIG training. So I don't agree, or not to say that you're suggesting this, but that there'd be a MIG training exemption for new school board members. But I will say this, I think if it is training, I think that there should be one exemption for training, right? And just kind of figure it out, right? But I will tell you this is just Kwok talking. If we had an exemption for training and then we had these numbers here, but if a board member came up and said, you know what, I'm hitting up to this thing, I want to go to this training, and I want to go ahead and ask the board to vote on it, I will be in favor of it. Okay? I'm not going to be thinking that I'm cynical, that you're trying to do this or whatever. Board. You want to go to training? I fully support it. Thank you very much. I yield back.
If I may just really quick,
Excuse me?
if I may really quick,
If you have a comment, Ms. Quinones had a comment before you.
that's fine.
Mhm.
I think that it's important that when Dr. Jimenez and one of us goes to these conferences, that you come back and do a presentation about what you learned. That's important.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're not, how is the rest of the board benefiting from that training as a whole? So I think it's important that you share the knowledge, but I also think that we may want to consider doing this as a team. For example, Gino can concentrate on anything related to higher education. Mr. De La Torre can concentrate on conferences that are related to counseling education. Mrs. Loera can concentrate on education
I'm
at
okay
her
with that.
level.
Okay with that.
I can concentrate on something else, business, accounting, anything like that and then you can do on social, emotional, and everything else. And that way we can make sure that there's representation in every single training, and then come back and share with the rest of us. That way we can see what our dollars did as far as an investment.
That's actually a really great point. That's the checks and balances of it. And so the root of what you're communicating is we as a community saw one specific board member just take this to the next level. And some of us believe abusing it. And so we just want to have checks and balances. If we are going to be doing it, are we actually learning, or are we using it as an opportunity to expand our political career through connections? I am cynical because I have seen that. And so I have that concern. So I think we have the parameters. Ms. Laura, did you want to add something?
Wait, finish till you make your comment.
Okay, no, go ahead,
I
ma'am.
think she was done.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm glad when Gino spoke, it just reminded me what he said with the MIG training shouldn't just be for new board members, because I did take it when I was first new, but a lot of the stuff was confusing to me. I didn't really understand many of it, especially the finances, because I was new. And many of the questions that they asked in those notebooks, it's like if you already knew what's going on in the district, many of the stuff I couldn't answer because I was there by myself and I didn't know what was going on in the district, how we did some of those things that they were asking, especially with the financial thing. It was very confusing. So now that I have a little bit more experience, I know I spoke to Dr. Jimenez about this, that I would like to go back because now I probably will learn even more from it, take back for especially the finances and that, especially that part is very big. Now I know a little bit more about it. I could go back and ask. I know better questions to ask, and I know I'll be able to fill out that notebook and learn more. So I do agree. It shouldn't be just for new board members whenever they want to refresh a course, or maybe they just want to focus, instead of taking all 5, they could just take one of them or 2 of them instead of taking all 5 again, whatever they feel they need to do even better.
Things change all the time.
Yeah, so that's what teachers do. You're always learning from that. And
PD.
professional development, exactly. And even if you go to the same one, you're always learning. Because I know when we do PD, teachers don't want just one and you're done. It's always go back and get it more again. So because you always learn. The second one, I don't want to be pigeonholed in just education. I already have a lot of education, a lot of professional development and that. I'm always willing to learn more about education. I already have a degree in curriculum instruction. I have all that. And I'm willing to learn more. I love learning about education, but I don't want to be pigeonholed in that because I do want to learn about finances, about other things to help me to make decisions in the school board. So I'm okay to go to those trainings and report back to the district, to the board members, what I learned and bring back, like the SIRs and everything. I'd be happy to give those presentations. I could do a write-up. I've done that at school sites before. I have no problem with that. Which sessions I went to, a little summary, and as long as it's okay, it's not a Brown Act violation, I'm okay. Sharing, that's the only thing I'm worried about. But sharing some of the things, I'm okay with that. I mean, I could send to Dr. Jimenez and he could vet it first to make sure there's no Brown Act violations about things that I want to bring back. So I just want to be careful with that. So I'm not sure how that will work. But I'm okay with that, me going to these trainings. And if there's something else I'm interested, I want to go to that. If it's something to do with social emotional learning or with any like Brown Act violation laws, I want to learn that too. So I don't want to be pigeonholed.
Roll call?
Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead and take a vote on this.
Mr. De La Torre,
Aye.
Ms. Loera,
Clarification, is this, what did we decide on still being separated or putting it out together? Because I know we were discussing that, but I'm not sure what, if it's still
We-
separated.
Yeah, we're voting on the item at hand.
Oh, I know, but I know there's discussion about putting it together or we're still keeping it separate. I just want to make sure.
So here, as it says, it's separate, so that's what we're voting on, what's on the paper.
Well, in order to put it together, she'd have to
Amend.
propose a friendly amendment.
Yes, so, I would like to make a friendly amendment to combine them.
Okay, so I'm the one who made the motion, right? Okay, I accept your friendly amendment.
Okay, discussion?
No, whoever did the second
Yeah.
has to also accept it.
Ms.
Good.
Quinones, would you like to accept that friendly amendment or not? It's up to you.
No.
Okay, thank you. So moving forward, let's go ahead and go back to the item at hand and take a vote.
Mr. De La Torre,
Aye.
Ms. Loera,
Yes.
Ms. Quinones,
We're voting on yes, right?
Yeah.
Only on separate.
Yes.
The way it is now.
Yes.
Mhm.
Mr. Quack,
Yay.
Ms. Serrano,
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Moving forward, B, discussion and review of the historical data on number